Hello everyone and welcome to a new video. Today I am filming my August wrap up, and August was insane because I read 38 books. Is it 38? 37 books. I think I might be lying to you. 37, I need to double check. Yes, 37. Actually I could have read more because I stopped reading manga at a point, because I usually read one manga between every second full-length book, and I was just like, I'm just not doing it anymore because it would just be such a ridiculous amount of books this month. So I just stopped reading manga because I'd read so much. But yeah, I was doing 3 readathons in August. I did the Spookathon, which was the first week of August. I did Polathon, which was for the whole month of August. And I did Magical Readathon, which also was for the whole month of August. I had 14 books I needed to read for Magical Readathon, which I interpreted into my Spookathon and my Polathon TBR. So there was 14 books altogether for that readathon. As you can tell, I read 37, so I literally finished super early with all the 3 readathons, and then the rest of the month I was just reading, and it never ended. I think I already calculated my pages, which ended up on 11,106. That doesn't include my audiobooks, which is why, like, it could have been more. So yeah, obviously I won't be able to speak that long about each book. I don't want to sit there for 2 hours. So I will try to be brief and like give you like a tiny synopsis and like just my final thoughts, because seriously, we can't be here forever. I don't bother like saying what's for every challenge ever, I think, because I already said so in my TBR and I said so in my vlogs. So we are just rolling, I think. I don't even know. Let's just get started. The first book I read was The Screaming Staircase by Jonathan Stroud. This is the first book in the Lockwood & Co series, and it's basically set like back in the day, where we follow these kids that has their own company where they where they fix hauntings, etc., and get hired for this job. We have a young woman who joins their company who like has this ability, because they need like certain, I was gonna say, abilities to either like see ghosts or feel them, etc., all those stuff with them. I read this for Spookathon and the stuff. This one I think is coming as a Netflix show or like a movie thing soonish, so I'm really excited for that. And it's also for 12 Friends Recommend 12 Books challenge. So I did end up liking it, but I didn't love it. I was kind of bored and it was kind of obvious what was what in the story, so I was just kind of okay. And it wasn't like the best either, but I did enjoy it and it was entertaining. And I always wanted to read this series here that the author also wrote on the back, which I didn't know was the author of that. So I want to read that one day. I did enjoy it. I can see why they're really popular, but I do like enjoy this genre as well though, like in general, just like small kids having to do that of work, etc. But yeah, I ended up giving it like 3 out of 5 stars. I then read The Vampire's Assistant by Darren Chan, which is the second book in Darren Chan's series, which I'm rereading that I read when I was a kid, and I absolutely loved it then. And I do still really enjoy it. So this is just for Darren Chan, who becomes a vampire or vampire assistant, and then he just needs to adjust to this new life, and there's a lot of stuff happening, and there's a lot of stuff they're meeting, etc. So yeah, this just continues the story, and here it is really sweet because he gets like friends and he meets people, and we just see him adjust to that life, and I did enjoy it. So yeah, that one 3 out of 5 stars as well. They're also really short, which is always a great thing. Then I read Sunstone Volume 6, Mercy, which like kind of started a new arc in Sunstone. And let me say that I enjoy this so much. I love this arc where we follow these 2 characters and kind of the backgrounds and like how they I guess come together. And like I did really love our 2 other main characters that we had in the beginning, but I was kind of just like tired of the arc in the end. I thought it was like a bit messy, and then I didn't know that this was a new arc initially, and then it started and I was just like, oh my god, I was so invested in the story. I haven't like I read and been so invested in like the story for a while like I did enjoy the last volume before this. I just like didn't like 3 and 4 that much, the story wise. This was just so good. Very horny. Do recommend a lot. And I gave it like, I don't really say my ratings for these, but I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Yay. I then read Afterlove by Tanya Byrne. I don't know how to say that name. Byron. And in this one, we have these 2 girls that really like each other. And it does say back on the synopsis, but it literally says that one of them dies and then she becomes a Grim Reaper. And that's like how the story starts out. But I'm literally just like, it doesn't happen until really late in the book, but it does say in the synopsis, and that's how people are like promoting it. So it's not like a spoiler, but I personally feel like I don't know. It could have like, you know it's gonna happen for such a long time. It's kind of just like, I don't like reading synopsises. That's why. I did really enjoy it. I thought it was a sweet relationship. I thought it had a sweet, I don't know, not sweet, but like a interesting discussion about death, etc. and life, which usually it is in these kinds of books. And I ended up, I think, giving it 3.5 out of 5 stars. I didn't like love it completely, but I did really enjoy it, and I had a good time with it. Then I read What's Always Watching by Stephanie Perkins. Can you tell I was doing Spookdom in the beginning of the month because of all the books I read then? And honestly, did not like this at all. It was really weird. It was about these two girls that goes hiking in the woods and it turns deadly. And it just didn't make any sense, and it was just no explanation whatsoever. And the things and the stuff that was developing between them, like the stuff they had going on, was never like approached again. So we had like no development whatsoever. We just had them going into the forest being stupid. And it was weird. So I gave it like 2 out of 5 stars. It's not like I expected to love it, but it was also just not at all what I expected. So yay. Then I read Demon Slayer Volume 11, which I am enjoying so much. I follow Sanjiro, whose whole family is killed by a demon except his sister, who is turned into one, and he joins like the Demon Slayer corps to like find out more about demons so he could cure her. And then we just have like him and the other people he meets going around killing demons, and it is a really good time. And now we're in like a really intense battle, and I think after this, when like it's no more anime and I watched all that, so like after this volume 12 will be me not knowing anything that's gonna happen, and that stresses me out a bit. But yeah, of course loving it because it's one of my faves. So my family's making a lot of noise upstairs, and I hope you can't hear that because it's very annoying me. And then we have Hyde by Kirsten White, which I read. I don't know why I said it like that. Now, I really do enjoy Kirsten White's books, and in this one we have a bunch of people who are chosen out to be in these games in this park to basically hide, and then the last one who is being found will win like money. Kind of like a game that quickly turns deadly. It's kind of like the death game trope, and I did like not enjoy it at all. I thought it was too much focus on characters everywhere. We didn't like care for our main character. It was just too much like everywhere. I think the reason why behind things and all that was kind of funny, and I thought it was interesting, and it was just really just stupid people, and I thought it was fun. The reveals, but they're just a way you had to suffer so much to get through it, and just the way it was told, I just didn't like it at all. But in the end, I thought it was a bit funny. So yeah, I think I gave it 2 out of 5 stars though. But again, like the answers to everything was good. I just don't like the road there, and I was suffering. So then I read Going Speeding by Alex London. Sorry, I was looking at my like challenges. I have no idea. Why did I read this? Oh, sorry, because it was not for that readathons that I mentioned in the beginning. I also did Found a Book Support Group for weekends. I read 2 final books, one for like the first day and one for the second day. I didn't understand why I was reading this. I was like, why did I read this? Yeah, so I also did another 4th readathon, and Final Book Support Group was always the focus to read final books. I read Going Speeding, which is the final book in the Skybound saga, and in this one we just follow the twins Kylie and what's the name of the other twin? Reisen. And then yeah, this bird where they're like the tame birds and stuff, and it's like really connected with like stuff in the world. And then we have in the first book Bryson going out to tame this ghost eagle, and a lot of things is used after this. This is obviously the last book in the series. I can't talk much about this, like the plot wise, but I did really enjoy the conclusion. I did enjoy the story, I did enjoy the characters, I did enjoy the world. Everything about this is really cool. I think it's like a really original vibe to it as a YA fantasy, and I would very much recommend it. I just had a good time all the way around. I had a good time the whole way. I don't know what I'm saying. And it's like a really fast-paced, easy reads that like you just enjoy. So yeah, actually literally in this moment, I think I read so much, I cannot remember for the life of me how it actually ended. Like what happened in the end. I remember what happened right before the end, but what happened in the end, and someday I will remember. It's all good. 4 out of 5 stars. And the next final book I read for that weekend was 10 Things I Hate About Pinky by Zendaya Menon. And this one is the final book in the Dimple But Rishi trilogy, which is just like 3 YA romance books that are like companions to each other. And then in this one we have Pinky, and this one has a fake dating trope because she wants to convince her parents that she's a good girl because they always assume the worst out of her, and then she like pretends she's dating this dude who's like really like, I was gonna say like very organized, etc. compared to her. And then they fake date like in a family house home, and then stuff happens, you know, out of that. Lots of stuff happens, a lot of bad like family relationships, and I did enjoy it. I enjoy all of these in the series. I think the middle one is my favorite. There's something about Sweden. I actually get a 5 out of 5 stars. This one is getting a 4. And yeah, it's a really cute, enjoyable series that I really recommend. So yay. Then I read Winterwood by Shia Earnshaw, obviously very much for Polifon. And this one we just follow our main character who's like always believed to be a witch. She lives like a bit like on the outskirts of town, and everyone is just like, she's a witch, she comes from a family of witches. And then there's this forest behind her that like is said to be cursed and be magical, but people like, do they believe that? I don't know. And then they live in like a really cold town where a lot of them like don't live there all year round. And then there's Nord Inn, and she finds a boat in the forest, and it's just like, where do you come from, etc. So this goes down in the direction you really think it's gonna go, and I was just expecting that the whole way, and I was just like, this is a bit boring. And then we had another 12 plot twists, and I quite enjoyed that one. I thought that was very interesting, and I did end up enjoying it. I think I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I don't actually remember, but I had a good time with it. I like didn't expect to love it completely, but I liked the atmosphere, I liked how it was written, and I don't mind reading more from this author. So the next two I might as well just talk about together, but I didn't like read them right after one another. That is of course Heartstopper, that I read volume 3 and volume 4 of. I haven't read this before, so now I have read all of the ones that are out physically, and I am upset. So this turned into the fun Paris trip, which was very much enjoyable, and I loved it to pieces. And this one was very much focused on mental health, which I also love. I love how Alice Oseman writes mental health. I think it's done really, really well, and I think it's just never romanticized, and I love that, and it made me cry. I think both of these made me cry. I had tears in my eyes, and it meant a lot, and I thought it was really beautiful, and I think this relationship is so, it has me, okay, it has me, and I kind of just want to reread them because they are beautiful, and I'm very excited for more seasons of the TV show and to read the final volume when it comes out. So yeah, they meant a lot. Okay, I think the 4th one I gave 5 out of 5 stars, and yeah, I don't think I gave any of the other ones 5 out of 5 stars, but oh, it hit hard. Okay, next one. Then I read Rise of the World Eater by Jamie Littler, which is the final book in the 4-star series, which I obviously bought also for Paul. Sorry, this is ruined here. Boo. And in this world we follow, what's the name of my character? Ash. And then he is a song weaver, and people really fear song weavers because like they are believed to be controlled by these readathons, which are like these monsters that live out in the snow. Every human lives in these different like settled places, and they have to like to travel between them. It's really dangerous because the readathons are out there and like attacking people who travel. And then he literally is thrown out of this society, aka also leaves because he wants to look for his parents that were like also called wayfarers, and he wants to look for them because they disappeared many years ago. And then he joins the ship, which is like full of family vibes, and it's really beautiful. And then we just have a lot of adventure and snow and different creatures and many reveals, which are really fun. So I really did enjoy the series. I thought this was a really nice and beautiful conclusion to it. I had such a good time with it. I think the second book still though is my favorite. I think that was the one that really captured me in. I don't know why I keep like having the second book as a favorite in the series, but it's just a thing for me apparently. But I still really did enjoy this, and I had such a good time with it, and I'm really glad I read this series because it's really beautiful, and I would recommend it a lot. I then read a Norwegian graphic novel which is called Reisen to Jotundalen, which is the like travel to the Jotundalen. I think it has like an English word, but I have forgotten what it is. And this one is just a really beautiful Norwegian graphic novel, which I picked up because I thought it had like what's it called, Frost vibes, and then they go into like this magical land with like trolls and different like stuff that is really normal in Norwegian mythology, I would say. And then it's just fall there. They were in a winter place and it was fall. Different place I went, and I was like, thank you for not making this fit anymore for my Polifon. But yeah, it's just really pretty art, and I really think it's cool that the Norwegian wrote it, and I really did enjoy it. I thought it was sweet. Obviously the beginning of a story, and I know it's several volumes out, so yeah, they're a bit expensive, so when I read that, I don't know, but I did enjoy this a lot. Then I read just an arc, which was How You Grow Wings by Rima Onoseta. So I won't talk, not that I talked that long about each book, but there's a review for this on my channel, so I will leave that link down below if you want more thorough thoughts of this. But basically we have these two sisters, and one of them gets the invitation to live with the aunt, who's much richer and like giving her a better opportunity in life, and they're very much abused by their mother. So the other sister is left behind with their abusive mother, and we just see them coming into this new life in different places, and it was really sad and hard hitting, but I really did enjoy it, and I thought it was really good. So 4 out of 5 stars for this one. Again, the reviews down below if you want more thoughts. Now, I did finish the whole Witcher series also this month, which I listened to audiobook, which was Season of Storms, which is like the prequel that is also like the latest one released. In the last month wrap up though, I did have a forget to mention Lady of the Lake, which is like the official final book, which I guess this is a prequel. And I had written in the title that I read like, I don't know, 17 books, and I forgotten to mention like the last one. So I technically only talked about like 60 books in that video. But either way, I did read this one this month and I did really enjoy it. What was I saying? I thought that this was not like the strongest one in the series. I think the beginners of the series is the best. And I think although like the conclusion is a bit like unsatisfying, it's not the best ending I have ever had. It's not actually like a good ending. I don't even know. I didn't really like it. But this journey there, the characters means a lot to me. And here it was nice to go back and be with them again. But yeah, I officially finished the whole series, which is a good thing. And yeah, I finished a long series this month. That is good. Be proud of me. I think I gave Season of Storms 4 stars. I don't remember actually. And then I read Wintersong by S.J. Jones, which I expected not to love as much as I did. It was a really enjoyable book, and this is a labyrinth retelling, so we follow a main character, Liesel, who is like really into the Goblin King and wants her to join him as his Goblin Queen, and he kidnaps her sister and to make her come down to him, and she does, and stuff happens. She's much more horny than I thought she would be. She really just wants to have sex, and the Goblin King is just like... But I'm not gonna give that to you though. I was not expecting all this horniness. I wish it was even adult to get even more horny, to be honest. It was great in its horniness, but I wanted more. And yes, I know I could just read smut, but it's just like, sometimes smut is just like unsatisfying as well. But yeah, it had like really great parts, a bit of like trickery between them, and it has a lot about music as well, because the main character plays music, and I did really enjoy it. Like, I had a really great time with it. I know it's a sequel, so I'm really excited to read it, because actually didn't think I would like it at all. 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read Nordic Tales, which I expected to love, but I didn't love as much as I thought I would. It was very enjoyable though. It's just like a different kind of tales from like the Nordic countries, and obviously I'm in another country, and I thought it was weird to read it in English when I was used to hearing all these words and places and stuff in Norwegian. That's put me off a bit, and like I just didn't love it. I just wasn't as engaged in the different stories that I thought it would be. But I always enjoy the wit stories the most, because it's like sorted into like transformation, wit, journeys, and I always love the wit ones a lot, and it made me want to read fairy tales again that I grew up with. But yeah, it's a beautiful book, but I didn't like love it as much as I thought I would, so 3 out of 5 stars. Not that that is the book's fault, but just still 3 out of 5 stars. Then I read Land of the Lustrous by Haruko Ichikawa, and this one is Volume 5, so this one basically set on this island, and they fight the Lunarians that live there, and the people who live there are like made out of crystals, etc. And then they keep breaking, and they have to put pieces back together, and we follow a main character who is like one of the weakest of them, and she is now trying to find out secrets about this island and why things are done as they are done, and it's very interesting, and I'm really curious to why things are done as they are done. So yeah, it's very, really interesting. It has a really different kind of art, and I really do enjoy the series. I'm excited to continue. And then read A Prayer of the Crown Shy by Becky Chambers. So this one is the conclusion to the trilogy, I think. I thought it was going to be more books like in the Murderbot series, apparently not. And I did really enjoy the series though. It follows our monk Dax, and they are a tea monk at first, where they go around and serve tea to people and like give them comfort through this tea, but they also want to experience like more of the world, and they go outside like the limits of the world and meets a robot and humans haven't had contact in a long time, and the robot kind of sees human society again, and it's just very interesting. And this one continues that, and it's just very beautiful, where you kind of just have to explain humanity, and it's really interesting, and I really did enjoy the series. So yeah, I think I gave this 4 out of 5 stars, but I did very much enjoy. I then read The Thief's Daughter by Jeff Wheeler. So this one is the next one in the Cave Mountain series, which follows Owen, who is like a son of one of the nobles in the kingdom, and then in the first book he's kind of held as a ward hostage thing because his dad committed treason. Here he's older. I think every book follows him in a different age. The first one it was like 7, 8 something, and here he's just like 17 or something, and he's just surviving in this court, etc. And I did enjoy it. I don't actually remember much of the first book right now, and I did like enjoy this and see like the intrigue and like the betrayal and different stuff, because there's a lot of things happening here, and I think it was very interesting to see like things come together and just like people not being happy about other things, and it was just very interesting. So I think I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I like this much more than the first book, so I just see the series going upwards, which is a good thing. So I'm excited to read the third book now in September. Then I read Hawthrone Legacy. Sorry, I thought it was shit on the book, but it was just the door frame. And this is the second book in this series. And the first one we have Avery, who inherits like $1 billion from like this really rich old white dude, and she doesn't know why because she has never met him before, and we're trying to find out why. In the first book, there's like this whole mystery, and it's kind of a reverse harem thing where she needs to live with all the grandsons of the dude because she has to live in a house to get all the money, and they have to all work together, and they're all really hot, so that's a great time. And here we just continue the mystery of like other mysteries, and I did really love the first book. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. This one I didn't love as much. I don't know why, it just didn't keep me on my toes as the first one. I was not intrigued in everything, but I did still have a good time with it, and I did like enjoy seeing the mysteries unravel, etc. And I do care for the characters, and I'm curious for the last answers in the last book that is, I think, out now, and I have it ordered and I'm excited to read it, but I just like didn't love it, you know. 4 out of 5 stars for this one. I then read Blue Flag by Kaito Volume 4, and this one just follows these 3 characters that all are in love with each other, so it's very interesting. And in here we just continue the story of them all being in love with each other, and there's also questions about future and deeper stuff and friendship in it as well, and I am really much enjoying it. There's only 8 volumes and I am 4, so I'm halfway, and I feel like I should have finished it by now, but I never could get hold of, I think it was volume 3, so I was just like stuck in this limbo for the longest time, but now I'm continuing and I'm having a good time. Then I read my next audiobook for the month, which was Cytonic by Brandon Sanderson. I literally listened to all the books in this series on audio, and I very much did enjoy this. So this is just following Spencer in the first book that wants to become a pilot, but her father was a traitor, and then they think she's Tracer's blood, so they don't want her to go to pilot school, and she's doing everything to get in the first book. And they fight these crow things that keep attacking them, and I don't know why. So that is very interesting. A lot of reveals, a very Brandon Sanderson style, very fun YA sci-fi series. There is just, he keeps expanding on the world and the abilities and the characters and everything, and I'm just like, I love it so much. I'm very excited to read the fourth and final book. I thought it was coming this year, but it seems to be next year, so I just need to wait, but that's fine, that's fine. I gave that actually 4 out of 5 stars and not 5, and I usually just automatically give Brandon Sanderson everything 5. I just had a great time with it, but I don't think it was a 5-star book for me. I then read It by Stephen King, which was not at all on my TBR, but I read it. But I read this with Jess. It was our buddy read for the month, and we absolutely both did not like it. I cannot deal with how much I did not enjoy this book. It was just so boring. The concept is cool, you know, I don't bother even explaining it. And every 27 years there's a monster coming and killing everyone in Derry, basically. Not everyone, but a lot of people. And I rewatched the movies and I enjoyed them much more than the first time I watched them. I only watched both of them twice, like the newest versions. So I really did enjoy those. But the book was just so boring. It was just so much filled up with so much shit that I was not interested in. Even when like it was supposed to be scary, I was bored, and I just like didn't like all the like little bits about like stuff happening in Derry. And I think Stephen King just like, even if he's gonna show that the town is shitty, he doesn't need to be so thorough about it. I don't even know. You could write a town being shitty without writing how Stephen King writes. Even though, you know, it was written in the 80s, blah 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 blah. But I was just bored and I just didn't like it, and yeah, I think I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. So honestly, I don't think Stephen King is for me because I hate the way he writes. So there's that. I then read The Feeling of Falling in Love by Mason Deaver. This I also have a full review on my channel, so I won't talk that long about it. But basically our main character was really scared of love because his best friend confesses to him that he loves him, and then he decides to dump him and gets a fake boyfriend, and then brings him to his brother's wedding where they're all gonna be. My character is also trans, and then case ensues. So I recommend checking out my review, but I did really end up enjoying it. I thought it was a beautiful story with a lot of layered, I would say, trauma in it that should be addressed by the main character, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Then I read Beastars Volume 15, which is always a good time by Haru Itagaki. This one had so many developments that were totally crazy. I enjoyed this so much immensely. It ended so crazy, and in the end, like, we got so many, like, I was gonna say reveals and different like stories, and it was just such a good time. I really love this series. So yeah, it follows Legoshi, who is a wolf, and everyone expects him to be really like brutal and scary, but he's just a sweetie, and you know, like living in this world where, you know, it's an animal world and people eat each other anymore, but there's a lot of rubble about that. And then I did a little arc review, so I recommend checking that out for more thorough thoughts. And the first book I read for that was Long Live the Pumpkin Queen by Shia Earnshaw. So this one is The Night Before Christmas, kind of a sequel who follows Sally, and then stuff happens in the Halloween world and the other worlds that they need to fix. And I had just watched a movie to read this, and I thought it was a good time. I don't know how long-term fans would enjoy it, but I enjoyed it a lot. And it's very, very fast-paced and really easy book to read. So yeah, I give it, I think, 4 out of 5 stars. Again, check out their arc vlog below. I will leave it linked there. And last one I read for that vlog was Destination Unknown by Bill Koningsberg. And this one we follow a main character who lives in 1997 in New York City under the AIDS pandemic, of course, and then he's just closeted gay, and he's like the first openly gay person, and he enters this new world, and there's a lot about like the community and how it's suffering in that time, and yeah, and how it's just to be gay in this time as well. So yeah, I did end up liking it, but I just didn't like any of the characters and didn't like the writing, but like I didn't love it. So 2 out of 5 stars for me. Next one I read was Self-Made Boys by Anne-Marie McLemore. This is a Great Gatsby remake / retelling, where Gatsby and our main character Nick is both trans man, and I was just like, okay, and everyone else is gay too, and I was just like, okay, thank you. And it was just such a beautiful, I would say, retelling of Gatsby, even though I even haven't read the original yet, just retellings that are very gay, and I improve. I don't know what more to say about it, but I just really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed the story, and just how it brought up like race and colorism and so many things, and I ended up giving it a really strong 4 out of 5 stars. And the last book I read for that vlog was Serwa Boateng's Guide to Vampire Hunting by Rosanna A. Brown, which is the first one I think in a duology, and it's Rick Reynolds Presents, and it's based a lot on Ghana myths and legends, and we have a main character who has grown up as a vampire hunter, and then she needs to like be in the school for a safe amount of time because her parents are going on this dangerous hunt. It is a vampire there too, and she needs to go and hunt it, and then she meets his friends that also help her. The only criticism I have of this is that I didn't like how and why she couldn't ask for help, because that just didn't make sense to me. But if I ignore that part of the story, I just love the mythology and everything, like the characters and everything, the humor, the way it's written. But the ending, oh my god, the ending was totally crazy. I haven't read a crazy ending like that in such a long time, and it was just not at all what you expect to happen. It was not at all like where you expect the story to go, and it was just, how am I supposed to wait? If you don't like cliffhangers, there you have that. And I just loved it so much. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars because it was just such a good time, and I had the best time with this book. So very much recommend it. I forgot I did another readathon, so I literally did 5 readathons in August. Not weird that I read so much, but yeah, I did my, of course, 24-hour Faes and Gays readathon where we were live the entire time for 24 hours, and I got sick, and I'm still a bit sick from it, so there's that. And I read 4 books for that. So the first one I read was This Wicked Fate by Kaylin Bayron. This is the sequel to This Boys the Heart, which I did really enjoy, and I didn't enjoy this one as much. The first one was kind of like a mysterious, elegant, just like very atmospheric mystery kind of, while this one was kind of like an adventure story, and it just didn't have any of those surprises that was in the first book. It didn't really have any like reveals to be like, oh my god. It was just like straightforward, and then we were done, and I was just like, oh. So I just didn't care for much of this. I didn't need a sequel in my mind. So yeah, I think I gave it like 3 out of 5 stars. It was a bit disappointing. Totally forgot to say what this is about, but This Was the Heart, just in the first book, follows this girl who inherits this house, and it's kind of a secret garden retelling, and then there's like mysterious things in the house, and she also can control plants and is immune against poisons, etc. That was what the first book was about. And my next read was Wynd Volume 2, which is set in this world where like magical creatures and stuff are like shunned upon and like not welcome in the world, and then we have just our characters just escaping because like the humans are hunting them, and they also have the prince with them, etc. So it's really beautiful. It's very queer as well, and it just have a interesting like, I was going to say myths and legends and stuff like that too. So it is enjoyable. And then I read the book of the month for Faes and Gays, which was Lakelore, which follows these 2 non-binary people who met many years ago under a lake. And now I'm just looking at this cover and it's freaking me a bit out, actually. I just never saw all the things that was sticking into the people. Whew, and I have like a phobia against that, so why did I look at it? I don't know, I just realized it in this moment. But yeah, basically they meet many years later and they both have different things to deal with. One of them has ADHD while the other one has dyslexia, and they really connect over this as well. And then they fall in love, basically. And it's just a beautiful story between them. It's short and sweet. Then I read Sunbearer Trials, which was the last book for that readathon, and I ended up really liking this. I have a full review on my channel if you want more fast as well, and we leave that link down below. But basically every 10 years there's this trials that determines who's going to be sacrificed to keep the soul alive and to keep the evil away, and like the first place will kill the last place for the sacrifice, but the first place will also get into this magical council thingy. And we have a main character who's chosen out for this, but he is also a jade, which is like lower in society than the golds. He has not the training as the golds have, etc, etc. He's also a trans boy, and then we just have this beautiful story with friendship and these trials and this magical and cool. And I do wish things were more developed though, but it's still very enjoyable serious book. I mean, it's only read one. So I think it's going to be a sequel, and 4 5 stars. And the ending was crazy. Love the ending. And the last physical book I read for the month was A Close and Common Orbit by Becky Chambers, which I loved so much. I am almost annoyed by it because I didn't love the first book as much, but here I really enjoyed it. The first book just follows this woman joining a crew, and she has like a past she's running from, and there's like family stuff in it. And here we just follow a AI who just got her body, and then she's adjusting to that life. And then one of the people taking care of her is called Pepper, but she used to be called Jane, and we grew up as a slave basically. And then we just follow her story of how she came to be where she is today, and it's just beautiful. It's very much character driven, like not a lot happens like plot wise. It's just following these characters adjusting to life in different ways, and I was just so obsessed with the story. I couldn't stop reading it. I could stop reading it, but I like when I was not reading it I was thinking about it, and I was so excited to start reading to find out like where do they end up, what happens to them. And I was obsessed. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I just gave me like that wondrous book feeling that you're seeking when you read, and I am grateful for that. And the last book I finished was Evershore by Brent Sanderson. This is, and Jennifer Patterson, as this is the like Guy 1 novella, which I listened to audiobook, which is the last one, which you're supposed to read after Cytonic, because there's 3 novellas, 2 you're supposed to read before Cytonic and the last one after. And this one is Jordan's, I can't even say his name, but his book, the one on the cover. And then we just follow him and what's going on with him when Spencer is away, and like things evolve a lot at home. I did enjoy it a lot. Reviews happen and I enjoyed it, so I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And that was the last book for the month. I didn't use as long time as I thought I would, honestly. I am getting good at this. This is my only talent now. But yeah, that was all the 37 books I read for the month. Hopefully September needs to be good reader month too. My TBR is 17 books long, but they're much longer books, and then I have other things I really should read. So we shall see how it goes. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you had a good time. All my social media links are down below, including my Patreon if you want to support my channel further and join many cool exclusive perks. And thank you so much for watching. You receive a new one. Leave a robot emoji down below if you enjoyed it. For AIs, not that they have to be robots, but that's the best thing I could come up with at the moment. Okay, goodbye.